Sarge, I'm reading a book about falconry, and I thought that might be a pretty cool thing to do for the next episode of Warrior Summit Outdoors. What do you think, buddy? So before I do this, I'm going to head down to Hershey, Pennsylvania and go through the falconry experience. But don't worry, buddy. I won't stop hunting with you.
Warrior Summit Outdoors is brought to you by Best Buy. Best Buy is a proud employer of veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses. To learn more about job openings in your area, go to our website, www.bestbuy-jobs.com. For more information on Warrior Summit Outdoors, we invite you to visit our website, www.couragehealsthesoul.com. There you'll find information about your host, Eric Olson, some of our upcoming episodes, and more.
I got into my Jeep Rubicon and headed down to Hershey, Pennsylvania, where I was about to meet Mr. Jack Hubley, who runs the falconry experience at the Hotel Hershey. I couldn't have asked for more perfect conditions. It was a gorgeous day, clear blue sky. I was really eager to learn all about predator birds and the ancient art of falconry.
Well, welcome to the falconry experience,
Thank
Eric.
you, Jack.
Now, I might have, on any given day, I might have a bleacher full of 5 to 15 people there. And it's interesting because very few, actually maybe 1 or 2 out of 15 will know what falconry is, and yet they come to the program, right?
Right.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know what falconry is?
Do I know what falconry is? Well, I think of it as hunting with falcons.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
You started out with the correct word, hunting. Falcon, and most people who come here don't know that falconry is hunting. They think, well, we train birds, they come to us when we call them, and they come to a glove, and that's correct. But why would you do that? Hunting. Falconry dates back about 4,000 years. A lot of people think, oh, it began in medieval times when we see the knights with the falcons and whatnot. Falconry actually dates back 2000 BC to Central Asia.
Really?
And there's a very good chance that the first falconry birds were golden eagles, perhaps goshawks, but it was a practical means of putting meat on the table. We're talking 3,000 years before gunpowder, before black powder was invented.
That's amazing.
So back then, we were literally killing our dinner with sticks and stones, right? And then we discovered that we could actually forge a partnership between a bird of prey and man. And how this exactly unfolded, I have no idea. You can't try it with you can try it with a mammalian predator, like a coyote or a fox, and you'll get bitten and the critter will run away. But for some reason, we can convince a hawk or an eagle to hunt in partnership with us. Now, we don't teach them how to hunt. That's in the hard drive.
That should be a natural instinct.
Exactly. That's why we hire them.
That's correct.
We teach them what is counterintuitive to what every wild animal knows instinctively by now. Do not approach a human. We're the most dangerous animal on earth, right?
Absolutely, yes, we are.
So we teach them not only are we not dangerous, but if they come to us, they get a reward. And the most important thing to a hawk, a bird of prey, is meat. Without it, they die.
That's correct.
So we teach them not to fear us, and then pretty soon they're coming to us for a reward, okay? Then you take that hawk out, once he's coming to you, and you toss him up in the trees along a brushy fence line, and you walk along and you flush a rabbit. And that rabbit shoots out from your feet, right? Close to you. And the hawk quickly connects the dots. And he realizes that, well, maybe this guy isn't gonna call me to the fist, but if I stick with him, he's where the action is, okay?
Where the food comes in.
Where he is moving, game is going to appear, whether it's a cottontail rabbit or a squirrel or a pheasant. And pretty soon, you've got that hawk following you through the treetops, expecting you to flush game. You become the dog.
Never thought of it like that, but that
Yeah.
actually makes sense the way you explain it. So it's, you know, the bird's going to equate the human now with food. So
That's right. Yeah, you're where the action is.
that's amazing.
So you got your partnership. Now here's the rub. This is not a Labrador Retriever.
No.
Okay? They have no intent, they do not share well. They have no intention of letting you eat what they caught. You shoot a duck over an icy pond, right? You're not going to swim out there.
I'm not.
You send your golden retriever or your lab out there, and he breaks ice and he grabs the duck and he brings it back and he sits down and he hands it to you, right?
That's correct.
And the hawk's sitting up in the tree scratching his head thinking, what kind of a stupid predator does, he just gave his dinner to this human. So what the falconer must do is diplomatically convince that hawk to trade off what he just caught. Maybe he's got his feet into a cottontail or a gray squirrel, and he's real proud. He spreads his wings and his tail over the quarry in a position called mantling, and he rears back and says, this is mine, you may not have it. You, being a giant, can walk up and rip that squirrel away from him. What do you think that does to your relationship?
It's not going to make it a good one.
Right down the tubes. So what you do is you have yesterday's or last week's squirrel in the freezer, right? So you have a skinned squirrel leg and you approach the bird and he's on his quarry and you take that squirrel leg all ready to eat in your gloved hand and you kneel down and you put it right on top of his feet, right on top of that quarry that he just caught, and he says, oh, ready to eat. And he starts picking at it and he'll bring his foot up to steady it, boom. And up comes the second foot, boom. Now he has completely surrendered what he caught in favor of this ready-to-eat big chunk of meat that you gave him.
Yeah.
He made the choice. That's why it works. He made the choice. Now you simply scoot around, do a 180. The rabbit is over here, out of sight. In the bag it goes, while he's working on the fist on what you gave him. So the relationship is preserved. You stole nothing. He made the choice. So he's still your pal. You're not the enemy. So that's really how it works. It's a diplomatic transfer of the bird from what he's caught to something he's willing to trade for. In America, if you want to be a falconer, you have to serve a 2-year apprenticeship.
I'll be done.
Under a master or general class falconer. Now first,
Really?
yeah, you pass your 10-hour hunter ed course, okay? Then, if you want to be a falconer, you've got to find one of us bird brains who's willing to take you as their apprentice, literally sign a letter, send it to the Pennsylvania Game Commission and say, I will be responsible for this person for 2 years. After you have your sponsor, only then may you take the written test that's administered by the Pennsylvania Game Commission. After you get at least an 80, can't slough through with a 70, after you get at least an 80, then and only then will your game warden come in and inspect your facility, which you've built to state and federal specs. Then and only then, after you pass your inspection, may you get your first hawk, which you have to catch.
You've got to catch them. So
You've got to catch it.
So no wonder there's only 181 guys in the state doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how much you've got to go through just to get to the point where you've got to finally go catch the bird.
Yep. You can't go to Cabela's and buy one.
No. So how do you go about catching the bird?
That's a whole other. Actually, trapping hawks is as much fun as hunting with them. But it involves some type of live bait, usually a pigeon, a rodent such as a gerbil or a mouse, and some type of a cage where the bird comes in. We have a cage from antiquity called the balchatry, which is basically a cage, a little domed cage in which you place the animal, and then this whole thing is festooned with basic nooses, monofilament or spider wire nooses, and the bird comes in, sees the animal in that little balchatry trap cage, and he tries to grab it, and he'll stick his foot through a noose, pull back, and you catch him. You're watching at a distance with binoculars this whole thing unfold. The hawk, of course, doesn't realize this is a trap, it's a cage. It looks like a brush pile with dinner in it. Your other option then also, after you passed your apprenticeship, is you may buy a captive bred bird, but you may not buy a bird as an apprentice. Only after you're a general class
So
falconer.
you've got to get it, and after you pass your test with an 80 or above,
Yeah.
then you can do it. Okay.
Then, and after the feds or the state approves your facility, where you're going to keep it.
Now, once you've been approved, can you go over state lines?
Yes.
And do this? So this is,
Yeah.
it's considered national once you've done that.
The program originally, up until 2010, was administered jointly by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and your state game agency. The feds handed off the program to the states in entirety in 2010. Now, the feds can still enforce the law. These are still migratory birds, don't forget. And because of that, they are under the jurisdiction of the Federal Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which is Canada, the U.S., and Mexico.
See, I never knew that actually hawks were migratory.
They are indeed. Many are. Some are not.
Yeah.
But
didn't
many
know
are. Yep. They peregrines. Well, peregrine means wanderer. Peregrine
Okay.
falcon. Yeah. So
I did not know that.
they cover vast distances. So that's why it's a federal program. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Not easy to get into. It is not. And once you're in falconry for a month or two, you realize why we gave up hawks when we invented gunpowder.
So now that we learned a bit about the history of falconry, it's time to meet the fastest animal on the planet, the peregrine falcon, as well as some other predator birds, including the golden eagle and the Harris hawk.
The birds that we have here are very user-friendly. We have three that look alike, and these are called Harris hawks, or Harris's hawks. And they're southwestern natives, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, and these birds have a couple things going for them. Number one, they are the most user-friendly birds in falconry. They're social hawks, unlike most hawks, like the red tail that you see when you drove here, sitting along the road. They hunt in family groups, and they are very at ease with strangers, which many hawks are not. Most of these birds have the summer off. Mine, well, that's when the work.
That's when they kick into high gear.
That's when the work ramps up. So the Harris hawk, if you go to Ireland and do a program like this, or California, or Pennsylvania, you're going to see the chocolate brown hawks with the chestnut colored wing feathers and the white tail band, the Harris hawk.
Okay.
They make us look good. The other guy here is the fastest animal on planet Earth. Everybody loves the peregrine falcon.
Yeah. It's a beautiful bird.
In the hawks and the owls and the eagles, for the most part, the boys don't give the girls any trouble because the girls are bigger and more powerful. She is a good-sized female at close to 2 pounds, about 30 ounces. And her boyfriend back at Zoo America, where my birds are housed, weighs 1.25 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And he's noticeably the pipsqueak.
Sure.
He's actually lighter in weight.
So she rules the roost, so to speak.
Yeah, well, actually, they don't get along. So, yeah, we don't allow interaction because she'd probably be pretty hard on him. But the Harris hawks here, all these guys here, very few people ever guess their weight because they're much lighter than they appear to be. These Harris hawks are all very close to 1.5 pounds, 24 ounces. That's all there is to them. Flighted birds have very light skeletal systems, a lot of hollow bones, and that's where they get the weight savings that a flighted bird needs.
Okay.
1.5 pounds, that's all there is to them. And yet they can handle a full-grown cottontail rabbit, no problem, for the hunting falconer. Birds actually really get used to visual stuff, like a glove. All my gloves look very similar. This is the platter on which the treat is served that you will be giving the hawk.
Okay.
It serves two purposes. It's the platter for feeding the bird, and it's also your protection. So that's the purpose of the glove. Now, two positions you need to remember.
Okay.
Glove down, pointed straight at the earth. That means don't come. When the glove is down, the hawk will not come in and alight on it. And that's good because we don't want a hawk just hanging off the glove as we're walking around. This means to him that there's no treat. When the glove comes up, the bird will be on the way. They're very, very attuned to the position of the glove. So you're going to want your arm not quite fully extended, a little break in the elbow. This should be about level with your shoulder.
Okay.
Reason being, and parrot owners know this, birds like a higher perch. So if you're a lazy falcon and you're standing here like this, and the bird comes in and eats the tidbit of meat you're going to give him, he might say, I'd like to sit up here. But he'll walk up there.
Yeah.
And on the way up, he'll put little holes in your arm. So
you want this at shoulder height or better?
About there. Yeah, and you don't have to exaggerate.
Right.
But shoulder height is good. Also, body position relative to the bird is very important.
Okay.
Wherever the bird is. Now, when we call this bird, he could be anywhere. He might be up in a tree. He might be sitting on the trash can. Who knows? But wherever he is, you want to point your left shoulder at him. So if he is sitting on the trash can, you're going to turn your body so that your left shoulder is pointed at the bird.
Okay.
More or less like this. And then when you call him, you're going to raise your arm briskly and you're going to reach out straight ahead of you like that.
Okay.
Reason being, and this is, your hand is going to be up with a thumb up like this because your tidbit of meat,
okay,
be holding that right here. Reason being, you want that bird coming in at right angles to your arm. The tendency for many people is to say, here, hawk, and point at the bird. Now, notice you're calling a hawk right at your face. The trajectory is straight on. Suppose you have a hawk that wants a piece of you, and they're out there. None of my boys are going to try to hurt you. But you get a big, dominant female red tail, it decides that she wants a piece of you. She can rebound off this glove in an instant, ricochet off it, and be in your face.
Oh, that'd be bad.
Not good. You only have two eyes.
Good's coming out of that.
Yes, that's right. Two eyes, and you don't want to donate one to a hawk.
Absolutely not.
You have glasses on, and that's good too. But you're going to find that if you raise your fist at right angles to the flight path, you're going to see the bird come in this way, and you'll clearly see that he's coming here and not towards your head.
Right.
That's a good thing. Yeah, so, and this is, you know, it's two simple rules, right? Glove down means don't come. Glove up means the bird's coming. But the fact is, when you're not a falconer, you forget. You scratch your nose with your gloved hand. You're wearing a hawk. So we're gonna stand like this, and you're gonna reach straight out that direction and say, in a lusty falconer's voice, hey Blazer, okay?
All right.
You ready?
Ready.
Go ahead.
Hey Blazer.
Thumb up. There you go. Ha ha ha! Look at that. Now there's that mantling I told you about.
Yeah.
The wings, he's taking possession. This is his and you may not have any.
Is this something that if somebody decides one day, you know, this is what I want to do, I want to get into falconry, and you say it's a 2-year apprenticeship, what are you looking for in a candidate?
The best thing to do is you can go to the Pennsylvania Game Commission's website and get a backgrounder. They'll tell you everything I told you about the legalities of getting into it, and there's other background information on falconry itself, and then you can attend one of our state falconry meets in January. We have a picnic in August. Our group is called the Pennsylvania Falconry and Hawk Trust, PFHT. And you can go to pfht.org and get many of the same background as you get from the commission, but you can plug into us, you can join as an associate member, non-falconer, for 15 bucks a year, and get our publications, and then you can come to an event and meet falconers, shake hands, get to know them, learn who the falconers are perhaps in your area. What we're not looking for is pet keepers. These are not birds to be kept in a cage at home to be admired and looked at and carried around in the fist. So if you're not a hunter, you're about to become one. Or a fisherman, or an outdoorsman in general who is familiar with how nature works. Predation, recycling of animals. Not everything eats seeds and suet at a feeder. Some animals must kill to survive, and there's one of them right there.
You two are about as impressive as that Harris hawk at trying to collect food out of the air. One more time, guys. Ready? Yep. And one more for you. Oh, good job, buddy. Well, this was another fun episode of Warrior Summit Outdoors. I got to learn about the ancient art of falconry. I got to catch a Harris hawk on my arm. And you know, I've taken incoming in war, but taking an incoming predator bird landing on my arm was a totally different experience. But this was a great episode of Warrior Summit Outdoors, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And remember, it takes courage to fight the good fight, and courage heals the soul.